Hi.
Hey everyone. Hi.
Hey.
So, hello. Hello to my sisters and to our audience. We know it's been a bit since you've heard some conversations from Cosmic Souls, but that's something we want to talk about today. So, as introductions again, I'm one of 4 hosts. My name is Heather Thomas. I'm joined by Cara Busacker, Cara Gilsonen, and Amy Kilstrom. Wow. So I don't know how we got to September of 2022, but here we are. God help us all, or Goddess help us all. We have made it to September, and it's been a really interesting, rough, magical, dense, energetic time that all of us have experienced in our own individual nuanced ways that of course is reflected in the collective. So hopefully in our discussion today, you'll be able to hear a little bit about yourself too. Maybe you can relate to some of the things we share and how it might apply to your life and maybe help you gain more insight and clarity into what's going on in your life. So before we get started, I did want to mention that we have gone through a business process transformation, and we are going to be offering a Facebook group, a public Facebook group called Conversations with Cosmic Souls, because that's who we are. So we'll give information about that in the show notes, because we want to be able to have conversations with you more frequently and online. And we have plans to host the show from that Facebook group where we can take questions from everyone from that group as well. So that is I guess as condensed as I can be, kick off and recap. But
Yeah,
I'll lay it out there for y'all to pick up as to where we go next in our conversation.
yeah. It's so funny. I usually do this every morning. Like I look on my app and I see what's going on currently in the astrological chart. And I didn't even realize until like 5 minutes ago that the moon is in Aquarius, air sign, and I'm an Aquarius sun. But I was like, why does the energy feel so different today than yesterday? And I'm like, oh, because yesterday the moon was in Capricorn and today the moon's in Aquarius. And the Aquarius stuff, which we can go into that whole last full moon of Aquarius.
Which, oh my God. PTSD from that last full moon. My God.
Did we podcast after that one? Because
I don't think
we didn't
at all.
That would have been a chapter.
That's multiple chapters.
Mm-hmm.
Laying on the ground.
But what I would say about today is with the moon in Aquarius, we are looking at everything kind of up above and looking down. And we're like, whoa, it's that bird's eye view of like, whoa, we went through a lot. August, I don't even know how to recap August. I don't think we podcasted at all in August,
no,
but it's because we were in a shit storm. We were like, woo.
August is shit storm. We could have done a podcast of like 30 seconds. You know,
I mean,
it's a shit storm right now. We'll get back to you in September. Peace out.
But I felt like that shit storm was different than the other ones that we've been through. Like this one was more of like grabbing on arms and holding on to clients and witnessing.
And she's frozen.
But if you can still hear me, I just felt, did I freeze? I was just talking about this shitstorm, like holding on to our clients through the shitstorm. Like it was like this, it was so massive. It was just.
Oh God. I'm like, I just had to look. I was like, it's Mercury in retrograde. It's going to go into retrograde any moment.
Okay.
But I'm like, well, are we going to have some tech? So pretty much the majority of the planets in our solar system are in retrograde right now. So what that means in like technology terms or scientific terms is what I see it is like our solar system is in a standstill. Like the momentum of the planets all going one way, now that the majority of them are going the other way, but only like a couple of them are going this way, it's just like we're in chaos. We are in complete chaos.
At least we have
And there's
an
the
explanation
solar
for it.
flares and the Schumann
Solar flares,
and all the
Schumann resonance.
things.
I feel like it slows things down a little bit too, though. Like I'm hoping that this month it'll feel a little bit more like getting your bearings, because I view the retrogrades as like you get to kind of like review, revisit, and sometimes that creates chaos for you, but it's so you can reassess and like get back on track. Or and I feel like with that like backwards motion and like you said standstill, like maybe we'll be able to like take a breath and be like, okay, where am I? What needs to happen?
Totally.
Yeah, that new moon that we had, to me, was a clear energetic marker for that. I just felt different. It was like, oh, you don't realize that you've been in it sometimes, really in it, until you come out of it and you feel the difference. That's what's expanding so much is our energetic fine tuning of the frequencies. We can feel the difference, you know, if we can just remember to feel them and understand that that is our most important, whether it's our intuition, whatever we want to call it, that's our most important sense, I think, is that unseen energetic shift of whatever it is that makes us souls. You know, our souls are tuning into these energetic, you know, shifts, and we want, you know, to have things look a certain way or sound a certain way or feel a certain way, when really we're meant to recalibrate. The DNA is activating all the things we've heard about in order to become more energetic beings instead of just these physical beings. Like the energetic aspect of ourselves is going to rise to the surface more and more and more, first and foremost, as opposed to waiting on the other senses to tell us what's going on. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, that totally
makes sense in my head.
that totally makes sense, Heather. I think it's, you know, in the like spiritual awakening world, we've all talked for the past year about 3D to 5D. I think we're not in 3D anymore. I really don't think that. I don't think, and I think if we did a poll of like asking anybody on the street, like, do you feel like you're in the third dimension anymore? Like just anybody, like, you know, like it'd be fun to do like an interview of just like the people walking down the street, because I don't think most people, they might be kind of like, I don't know what you're talking about, but they're like, yeah, something's shifted, something's different. Like, are we straddling dimensions? Like, is humanity straddling dimensions? Are we already there? Are we in the fourth, fifth dimension? Are we in another dimension we don't even know about?
I think we're relating to the people in our lives that are broadcasting or tuned in to the current frequency level of this now dimension moment. Otherwise, I think people just vibrate out, or they, you know, you kind of have echoes of remembering. I can't even explain that well, but it's, again, we talked about, you know, before we got on, how fast things are moving. So I can't help but think that if you're still with people right now, that everyone's moving in direct proportion to your expansion, but people might still, like whether it's a job situation or a relationship, you might be being pushed to start vibrating more and more out of a certain space or relationship until it just gets intolerable. Like, I think my sister's going to listen to this. Hi, sister.
Hi, Nikki.
She's in a situation, and this is not to like trash Airbnb, but anyway, she's in a really tough situation where, you know, she leases a townhome and has for a long time. She really loves it. It's in a great location, great school district. It's in what we call our Midtown area. But the people who bought the townhome next door have turned it into Airbnb. So it's a revolving door of people who play loud music and people that, you know, she feels like unsafe around, people who she had to call the police one night because the party got so loud that it woke up her son who's trying to sleep and go to school the next day. And then she, in the morning, gets called a bitch by the Airbnb renters. It's just a bad situation, but she's been needing to get out of that situation for a while. She knows that she's ready to move on to something bigger, more expansive. So I think we'll be in these situations that keep pressing us. I don't know if we ever are not going to be in situations or relationships, or that's why we came here to experience all the like the screwing of the screw or whatever. The vice grip. But until it kind of pushes us out of that birth canal, you know, and then we're in this new expansive space that we now are an energetic match for. So the universe knows what we want, you know, and it just keeps pushing us in that direction. And it's when we resist and resist and resist that situation, I guess, becomes even more, you know, whatever. But that's just one kind of example, I think, is what's happening is those things, though, are happening quicker, right? Like maybe the Airbnb situation may have been more tolerable over time, or anyway, or it may have taken a longer time to become intolerable, or I just think things are moving faster to push us and propel us to that next phase of our expansion. And it's if we are allowing that to like water, you know, to not fight against it, but to allow it to teach us or to grow us. KK, you've had some wonderful examples of that you've shared with us in your life. I don't know if you want to share them with everyone else, but it really has spoken to my heart and my soul as to what's possible in relationships in particular by really opening up your heart space and seeing what wants to shift when you open up that vulnerability, that, I'm gonna repeat it again, that heart space area. All right,
Yeah.
I'm done talking.
I think it's just that, like you're saying, when things are moving so quickly, it what it does is it makes it so, if you're willing to see it, so apparent that you know you can fight it, but that's like you're saying, it's just going to hurt more or cause more chaos. And so, you know, for me, I keep going back to like the surrender, like, and for me, it's a lot of ego death, and it's so much ego death. And I think that that's really hard, especially for women when you're talking about relationships, because we're also taught like, this is your time, women are rising, which is all true. But there's this soft spot in between where you can acknowledge that and acknowledge like maybe what's been done to the divine masculine. And so it's like finding like a neutral space within that in your relationships. And it's so hard. There's so much programming that you're fighting up against. So it's really about like owning your own truth and finding your own resonance with your own truths, and really being able to have that calibrated energy within you to say like, okay, does this feel good or not? Does this feel good or not? And you're always fighting that programming. So you're always fighting your own ego that's trying to protect you. And going back to that, you know, kind of the programming of the divine feminine rising and what women have been up against and the traumas that we carry. So it's like, we want to heal those traumas. at the same time that we allow space for the divine masculine to heal their traumas. You know, and then I think it's just, but when you are willing to do that, it feels like that ego death. And that's why it's so hard to do, because it feels like, no, if I do this, I won't be okay. I won't be safe. I won't make it. I won't survive. Something terrible will happen. It's either or. It's either, you know, I stand my ground, or I surrender to this and then I'm the victim again, or whatever, you know, whatever your story is. But when you surrender into just, that's what opens your heart. And it's like, okay, let me see the real truth. Let me see the divine truth, you know, without all the ego and programming in the way. And it's hard. But when you do, if you can allow yourself to surrender, that's the thing. Your ego will tell you that you're not going to be safe. It'll feel like death. But what's really on the other side of that is feeling empowered, is more clarity, is more energy, is opening up to more of the divine frequency of our God spark. And it does help us to claim more of who we are, claim more of our power, feel more empowered, and just feel wiser in our own choices to be able to see what's really happening more clearly.
Oh, that's so good. You always just break it down so well, Cara. I'm always like, yes, 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 yes. But what you said about one thing that like really became clear to me, and this is literally over the past couple of days, and I know we've talked about it a ton, but it's the polarizing.
Mhm.
It's that when you're fighting against your own ego, it's like here and there. And our brains want, because we've been programmed, it's so easy to go to those places. It's this or it's this. There's no in between. And so what you've been teaching and practicing, which is always a practice. We're never going to get there and be like, I've mastered this. But it's that neutrality, the heart space, that 0 point space where it's everything. It's not this and this. And that's really, really hard, I think, for our humans to understand. It's almost like we kind of understand it, but we're trying to get there. And I think why we are struggling a lot. I think everybody's struggling because we've been programmed. It's this or this. To get to that neutral place. I mean, talk about the work. It's hard ass work.
I feel like it's because essentially what you're saying is you have to transcend being human, because to be human, you know, we're infinite, but a human is finite. Like our human bodies are finite, you know, but so we have to almost transcend, at least conceptually, you know, and honoring that my human life has these constraints, but as a soul and as a spirit, I'm infinite and I'm eternal and whatever. And I'm here to experience I'm here for both. Like, I'm not here to transcend the human experience in the sense that like, oh, I'm just going to pretend I'm not human, because that's not what it's about either. It's the whole, it's the everything, like you said. It's like the knowing that you're so much more, but also experiencing the illusion of limitations, you know. And my personal lesson through this last weekend was the experience of finding deep peace and beauty and acceptance in those darker spaces, in the heaviness that can be the human experience.
Part of like this deep feminine wounding that I think we all have is we're told that the dark spaces are so bad. Right? I think that's a huge and it could be also divine masculine wounding too. But we're told, or we're programmed to think that being in a dark space is like, oh, you don't want to go there. And you're like, there's actually a lot to be learned in those dark spaces.
Yeah.
So
for me, it was like if you go there, you're needy, or you're looking for attention, or, you know, and then you enter into the spiritual world, and then it's like, well, you're supposed to be high vibe, you're supposed to be love and light. And again, it's both, right? There's beauty in both.
I mean, like it's everything. It's all the things. It's not like I think it's this, I keep telling people, and especially women, I'm like, we are in a phase of rewiring and deprogramming. And that's really hard to do. Is this deep? So you hear the thought and you say, oh, I see you. Okay. I'm not going to banish you away. Spiritual bypassing, right? I'm not going to like love and light. Let's go to the rainbow. Let's go to the clouds. Let's bounce around like Care Bears on the clouds.
Unicorn planet.
But it's seeing it, acknowledging it, integrating it, and saying it's all of these things. It's not, because I think we've just been banishing this stuff for so long.
Yeah.
Well, I think as long as we are banishing it too, you know, it prolongs. And so then it gets more of a negative connotation. But the more that you sit with it and you recognize it and you integrate it, it's like these moments of darkness really don't have to be prolonged. They can be just as intense, but it be in the human lifetime, right? Shortened. And so you can get through it that much quicker, but it does have to be seen and recognized and loved for the gift that you can really receive from it. Because there is a gift there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Amy. Oh, sorry. That's the problem with, I was going to get Amy to, it reminds me of what you explained with your, like, maybe this isn't a good comparison or analogy to bring it up, but the taking out the trash.
Yeah, so it's like it's like when you get rid of an emotion, or whether you compartmentalize and you don't deal with it, or you have somebody like in our spiritual arenas, people who remove a specific energy from you because it's not serving you. So essentially, what you've done is you've taken that energy like you would a bag of trash and you set it outside your door, but you gotta tend to that bag of trash, right? That bag of trash has to go into a receptacle, right? Has to go into a bin, has to go to maybe a county dump site, right? And that county dump site does have to then tend to that trash. Where is it going to put it? In a landfill, or is it going out in the ocean? If it's going in a landfill, now do we have, like, I love the analogy of like trash in the ground and the mushrooms growing above the ground, because mushrooms are so healing with the mycelium that goes really heals underneath the earth, right? And really to tend to and take care of that bag of trash, if you will, that does not serve you. It's like, well, let's be a little bit responsible on how we're getting rid of it. How are you getting rid of it? So some people are getting rid of this stuff by maybe they're just drinking or drugging their way through something, or maybe they're just like distracting themselves with something else, or maybe they're just completely spiritually bypassing or just ignoring it. So all they're doing is taking the trash and setting it temporarily outside the door. It's going to rot, it's going to smell, it's going to grow, it's going to attract rodents. So putting it, tend to it, see it all the way through for it.
All the way through. Yeah.
All the way through. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you can recycle, you know, I mean, I'm just kidding.
Well, because energy never, so one thing is energy, once energy is created, it never, it's infinity.
Mm-hmm.
It's going somewhere, whether you like it or not. It's nothing never like essentially nothing ever dies. So how are we as humans going to responsibly take care of energy?
Our own, especially. Yeah. And that's the part of it too. When you start going through this process, you're like, well, shit, I got to be responsible for myself,
for my trash,
energy, and what I'm putting out and what I'm taking in. I can't do the blame game anymore. Because that's that ego death too. That's that, you know, and you know, not to again stereotype, but the ego, or running solely by the ego, is such a divine male frequency aspect, you know, and it really is the rise of divine feminine, but also that balance, you know, but it really is about, you know, I got to take responsibility, and that's really hard to do too. Like, I'm responsible for all of it.
It's hard to human. It is hard to human.
It is. consciously aware. It's
Yeah.
it's hard to be a conscious human, but I do believe I've not lost this hope that just burns inside of me. I think since I was a child, that there is something more, and there's always something more, and that we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. I think this whole consciousness, human expansion is going to happen. It is happening, and that's the hope. It is happening. We can't deny it anymore. At least I can't. These changes in myself and everything around me, and I think more and more people that are maybe still sleeping, it's going to be undeniable to them too. It's whether it's glitches in the matrix, whatever it is, a combination of things, some sort of event in their lives. I don't know, but more and more people, I think, are going to really, they're not going to be able to deny that something more is happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Than what they can see.
I feel like Cara, you had some things to say. Do you remember?
We got stuck on the trash.
There was something, yeah, it was something with the trash. Oh, I think there's two different things here. So when you're talking about taking out the trash, to me, I feel like that's like our programming. Like that's like the stuff that doesn't serve us, the stuff that we don't want. But underneath that, there is an essence to, and like the shadow sides of us, like there's power for us in integrating our own dark and light. And I feel like there's something different about that versus the programming that we are here to undo and to detach from, and the matrix and all that. So I think that there's two different things there. And when you were talking, I got the image of like the princess and the pea, and it's like, if you don't take care of your stuff, it's still going to be there. You're not going to be able to see, you're not going to know what it is, but you're going to feel it. You're going to be like, like, I'm not happy or with my life, or something's off, or I'm just grumpy, or whatever it is, or things keep happening, but you can't see what's really creating the dysfunction, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Love
I keep
it.
going back to integration. I mean, the more we surrender, accept, and integrate, it's just gonna, I think, who was saying this? I don't know if we were recording yet, but I get this image of just being like a leaf tossed in the river, or it's just gonna flow. It's gonna flow down the river and become the river, and whatever happens, but you're not fighting against it. You're not like
it's like trusting that the universe has you.
Yeah,
really.
It's trust. It's surrender, trust. And we've been fighting for so long. Maybe now that I think about it, maybe a lot of what we're going through is like, we are dealing with centuries upon centuries of fighting. Like the ancestral stuff. It's like, once we woke up, we're like, oh my gosh, we've been fighting for so long.
Yeah.
We're fighting against energy, nature. We're fighting against we're fighting against ourselves. I mean, it's all this battle and fight. And once you're like, take your sword down and you're like, here.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's talk about some of these words we use a lot, because I don't know, people are listening, and I sometimes will toss around words and I don't sometimes really know what I mean by them, or really they feel like I know what they mean. But so what does integration mean for you?
I think for me it means, and I'm
totally putting you on the spot, but
I'm
everyone can
grappling
answer
with it.
But
That's a good question.
It's an acceptance, and then so these parts that we compartmentalize
I like it.
into different sections, it's bringing them all together and letting it be whole. And I just see that in my head, like, so this part of me that I don't like, right? It's like that. I'm whatever it is. I actually just absorb it and say, this is just part of the package. It's not there anymore.
Love it.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah.
and why don't we like it? You know, we don't like something based on programming from ancestors to when we were children. Like, what's our criteria that we're judging it by, you know? And
I think it's how it feels, you know, like when you really, like when I integrate something, right? It's like what Cara was saying, it's accepting it. It's really seeing it, accepting it, and pulling it into your nervous system and allowing your nervous system to calibrate to that. And if it evokes tears, if it evokes a darkness, or if it evokes some kind of release, you know, that's the integration. I feel like the integration is really what gets into your nervous system and then allows you, once you integrate it, you can better figure out how do I best want to work with this? Maybe it's transmuted right there because you've dealt with it head on in your nervous system, or maybe you get the clarity of your next steps of, no, this is what I want to do now. You know, that's, I see it in clients when they integrate stuff, whether it's new spiritual gifts that they've encountered, but there is sometimes a nervous system overload because they have pushed stuff away, and some of it's just personal, but it can take a toll, can make you feel sick, jittery, sad, sometimes even elated.
And that's that vice grip, that's that birth canal, you know, it's like it keeps coming back, it's gonna keep squeezing.
Yeah,
the universe knows what you want, it certainly knows what you don't want, and that takes manifestation a lot longer. But you know, when we can make conscious choices on what we do want, boy, the universe works hand in hand with you. But it's squeezing you because your body's talking to you, your emotions, everything's talking to you all the time. And I'm myself so blinded, you know, by a lot of times the obvious, because I've kept pushing it away, pushing it down, because I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Don't want to deal with that trash.
I know. I mean, we all do it. Come on, we all. I mean,
well, I think that's the superpower of being a human, because we can do it, right? There's something powerful saying, I'm not dealing with this today. You know, I was going to cuss. I'm not going to cuss. Like, bugger off, right? I'm not dealing with this, and I'm not dealing with it today. I've got a wedding coming up. I don't have time for this. And then eventually it just comes lurking at you, and it's 10 times taller and bigger. And you're like, okay, here it is. You know, it's just like, we have the power to put it off. It's just, you also have the superpower to decide when you want to integrate this, you know, as long as you don't put it off too long.
I can see it as like, if we're a divine being, and I think of it as like, anytime you have like a trauma or programming or conditioning or something comes in that deviates, is a distortion of that divine frequency, then it splinters off and we get the soul fragments. So to me, the integration piece is when you have the awareness, you become the observer, or you have the awareness of like, oh, I'm showing up in a way that's actually creating a situation so that I'm not getting what I want, or I'm in ego, or I'm in fear base, or I'm in victim mode, or whatever it is. And we acknowledge that programming or ego part of us. And so then we become like, they have that conscious awareness of it, so we can choose if we want it to be a part of us or not. And when we've gotten through enough of that like deprogramming or healing, that it's back in alignment with our divine blueprint, our divine frequency, then we're able to integrate that piece. And so we talk about like the ascension or the evolution of the soul at this time, because the frequency keeps rising so much. In order for us to match the frequency that is what the planet is at now, we have to keep bringing more and more of our soul fragments in, integrating those parts of us while releasing the programming, releasing the ego. And that's the ego death that we've been talking about.
again, Cara, we always just sync it up.
Yeah.
Just listen to what everybody else says, and I'm like, mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, you like take all of our fragments and you bring it in.
This is why we have beautiful conversations with cosmic souls.
Yeah.
So yeah, September, Virgo season, organizing, bringing structure back to
Oh yeah, big
work.
time.
And sometimes you have to go through something, because that's what I went through like over the weekend. I was like, I'm in Virgo season. I want to be cleaning and organizing, but I couldn't because I had to deal with this thing inside of me first. And now I'm in that phase and I'm like, oh, thank God.
Well, that's part of it. That, I mean, what you went through was part of Virgo season. It is this like, it's Earth. It's bringing it back to Earth, because you're like, we were, let's just say August, Leo season. I am all about Leo season. This last Leo season took me under. I was like expecting like it to be super fun. And I was like, oh, actually, like I said, this is the shit storm tornado. We're all like flying around, everything's disorganized, everything. And then like finally we came back down to earth and we're like looking around at the mess and we're like, oh shit, now we got to clean this up. Because it's the energy, like, let's make sense of this energy. Let's figure out how we're gonna like, we've just gone through this major transition, shifting of energies, and now we have to make sense of this, which is what we're doing. We're making sense of it in our human way.
Well, August to me, so what's interesting, I don't listen to a lot of energy reports. I wish I had more time to listen to as much things that are out there, but I remember listening to at least a couple, and I don't even think people who had energy reports really knew. And more, I'm wondering if even these long-time people who have been getting, you know, these more or less more spot on than not energy reports are able to really, I don't know if the word is accurately predict. I don't know. And there's degrees of separation to their experience and their consciousness awareness, but that's where I got the idea. Like even, you know, whatever Earth is, more and more, I think it's this big experiment genetic playing field for higher dimensional beings to figure out like, hey, let's put all of these variables together and see what happens. For August, I think even those higher dimensional beings are just sitting back and, you know, they're like, I don't know. I don't know what these humans are going to do, because the energy is moving so fast and it's become more and more unpredictable, or where it's like, why we know the shift's going to be big. You know, like, oh, okay. But I don't know who can really get a finger on as accurately, maybe, particularly in months like, you know, with the Leo energy. I don't know. I just got this feeling like I don't even know if the higher dimensional beings, alien, extraterrestrials, angels, all of them, I think they're all sort of the same at this point, really know either half the time what is going to be happening. But anyway.
Yeah, I think we want to know that there's like somebody. We want to know that there's somebody who has a master plan guiding us. And actually, nobody has the answers.
No one does. I know.
No thing has the answers.
I know. And, I don't know if that's the ego or the logic and all the things we've talked about. But like, I guess, but that's the fun of it too. And it's why I love talking about, you know, the cosmic stuff and the higher dimensional beings, you know. It's because I feel like that's the next thing, you know, like,
well, there are a lot
I figured out this other stuff. I'm like, all right, let's move on. Let's get on to the aliens. That's all. That's why I'm here, you know. Someone tell me more about them. Oh wait, I guess I'm supposed to be remembering on my
Heather, you are an alien. You're supposed to be talking to us. Come on now.
Well, I think we're all aliens, though. I really do. And whatever is an alien, but I think we're all hybrids, especially, I don't know, maybe every single human really is a hybrid, period. But I think possibly there are those of us, star seeds, whatever, who are having maybe co-current higher dimensional other lives. So,
Mhm.
okay, we're all experiencing this particular soul consciousness focus on all the different dimensions, personality, whoever Heather is at the 6th or 7th dimension, who knows? Maybe I'm vibrating and I don't have a body. I don't know. But I just wonder if those of us who maybe do feel more alien origin are having more alien lives somewhere else. Maybe I'm a Pleiadian somewhere. Pleiadia. I don't know. That's not a planet, but you know what I mean. I don't know, but I do feel like there's some deeper connection for some of us. I don't know, to these extraterrestrial. I don't know what else to call them, higher dimensional beings. There's some like deep connection. I don't know what that is. I've been trying to figure it out for a while now.
Yeah. No, I don't think we have the human terms to understand it, but our souls understand it on some level.
I think we're getting communication in different ways. If
Yeah.
our nervous systems again can calibrate to it. I know Heather, you and I have had those experiences. There are other people that have as well. And it's, I don't know, for me, it feels comforting. I feel like had it happened at an earlier stage in my life, I think it would have scared the shit out of me. You don't know. I could elaborate on that, but I don't know if I want to go there.
No, I think you have to vibrate. You have to be, I think, more consistently vibrating, I guess, and again, all these words, we don't have the right words. It's not good or better or whatever, but the higher frequency to be able to have this connection with them, or to consistently communicate, or because I think that's what happened to me when I had that lucid dream and I had that experience that I had, but I wasn't ready. I had that aura migraine. I had pain from where I touched the alien, from my top of my head down through my neck, through my left arm. I know without a doubt that this happened to me because of all of these other things that I experienced afterwards. I couldn't deny it. Oh, and it was a full moon, like all these things. So, but I wasn't ready, and maybe it was like a test run. But I think one of the parts of the work is raising your vibration, and that's not all love and light, but I think doing this shadow work and being honest and getting to the heart of things and the truths that want to be seen and heard and acknowledged is raising your vibration. So, but it really is about that, because they can only come down so far. So you have to raise up to be able to meet them, at that level. So,
and part of that raising. Go ahead.
Yeah. You go ahead.
No, I was gonna say part of that rising up, there's a lot of responsibility with it too. It's understanding that, you are tending yourself. There is a lot of work that gets involved with it. But it's also not setting the expectation, but rather the intention that this is what I want to do. And I would like my intention to be open, right, to other experiences, as opposed to the expectation of, oh, I want to see an alien. I want to, it's when I think what's been beautiful for me and not scary is like doing the work, knowing I will always have work to do. That's always going to be a process, but also understanding that we came here to be the humans that we are and to live this human life with this little curiosity of what else is out there, when in fact I feel like there is a higher self of us that knows exactly what's out there, right? We know, we just don't know in these bodies right now, and we're really not supposed to know everything, but these little glimpses into what we get, it's like little teasers, little reminders that, you know, you're not crazy. It's just, it's a different path. It's a deep understanding. It's a very cosmic connection that's not made easily.
I was just thinking about, like, we've all known each other for over a year now.
Yeah.
Look at the exponential growth that has happened.
Okay, the day that the four of us came together in the group that we did, can you imagine podcasting from those human bodies? The first of all, I would not have spoken at all. At all. I was so, remember, my throat would just tighten up. I had such a fear. I had a really, this was the beginning, was the throat chakra for me. And the shaky voice and everything. And now I'm like going live on Instagram talking about shit, literal human shit, you know, that I have come a long way. But each one of us has really just grown spiritually. Like, it's just mind blowing. And it's been so beautiful to witness in all of you and really be alongside on the journey. I'm excited for this podcast to continue so that we can continue not only to witness each other, but have our listeners witness the growth. I think it would be fun for us, or no, in a future podcast, maybe talk about the deeper side of what we see or what we feel. Like Heather, more of your lucid dream and what you experience and how you connect there. I mean, I can talk about all the crazy things that I see and have experienced. It's kind of terrifying.
I mean,
I've experienced
I've experienced some crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes you doubt yourself. It makes you doubt all of this. And it's not like I wake up every day and all of this is 100% quote real, and I don't think I'm crazy a lot of the time, you know. But what's so reaffirming is the community that I'm in and the communities that we've helped to create. And I think that's a big part of our soul missions. By our, I mean all of us here on this consciousness awakening path, is to create community. Even if it's just you and another soul, that's still a community where you can, we're not meant to do this alone, you know. We're never alone anyway, by the way. I think, what is it, 98 or 95, I don't know, % of what exists we can't even quote see with our eyes.
Right now you got people looking in their back seat of their cars listening to this podcast going, am I not alone?
yeah, there's higher dimensional beings all around us. So we're really moving away, as quick as our psyches and our bodies and all the things that have to come along with us, our nervous systems especially, right, our CPU units, as quick as it can, to believing in the unseen until it is seen. It's like that catch-22, that effort threshold, I guess, where we want to see something and experience something before we believe it. But it really is like, that's the heart of manifestation too. You know, it's that intention setting of seeing, smelling, feeling, taste, whatever, of what's already there. If you've had a conception of it, then I believe it already exists. But it really is that gradual fine tuning and adjustment that sometimes feels so freaking slow. But it's like we need each other to keep the faith, you know, to hold that frequency, to calibrate to. And because I want anyone to think that we don't wake up sometimes and be like, what the hell am I doing? Like, what is all this? You know, have I just gone off the deep end? And but if I have, I've got all of you with me. So
I think it's
been fun.
I think that's a great segue to talk about our Cosmic Souls community that we created. And it is going to be a free Facebook. we're starting with Facebook because it's free and it's easy there. We'll see where it goes from there. But if you're listening to this podcast and you are interested, find us on Facebook, Cosmic Souls Community, where we can post and talk about all these things that we're talking about. And it's just an open space and forum, laying stuff out there, and it's a no judgment zone, as long as you're obviously like respectful to everyone. But I think that's what we're all here to do, is open this stuff up so that anybody who has any sort of thought that they maybe don't feel comfortable talking to their friends or neighbors, or it's here. We are here to hear it and receive it and witness it.
There's a lot of power in that. It's a beautiful community. Like, we've been doing this on a smaller scale, the 4 of us have, and we've had an amazing community of women, and they're powerful, and they want to share their stories, and they want to talk through their stuff, and that's what this space provides. It's a space for you to feel into people of like mind and like soul. And there's a lot of comfort in that. So we hope it gives you an energetic hug when you need it, or an energetic spark when you want it. So
yeah,
see you guys there.
Hashtag hugs and sparks. Long hashtag, but I love it. A hug and a spark.
Not cashew milk, just hashtag hugs and sparks.
Reminds me, remember on Facebook when there was this thing, where people would poke you?
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
Remember that poking? That was so creepy.
silly.
Poking?
Yeah, do you remember that? They would poke you.
Poke you?
Yeah,
What?
it's like, oh, so-and-so poked you. I'm like, step back. What happened?
I mean, respect the space. I don't want to be poked. Yeah, that didn't last.
Yeah, we should put that in our community rules. No poke.
Yeah.
Don't poke me.
Yeah. Whatever you do, don't poke.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well,
Well, I guess
I feel
we can
like
wrap
that-
things that hashtag no poke. That's about it now. So, but yeah, so we'll have ways to find us in the show notes, and we'll be back around again sooner rather than later. Now that I think we've gotten over the August hangover, mostly, I think.
yeah. What's today? September 6th? Is it September 6th?
There's a full moon coming up.
Full moon in Pisces. I have good feelings about this next full moon, but I said that about the Aquarius full moon, and whoa.
That's what I mean.
Well, there was beauty. There was
That's what
beauty that came through. It was just tough.
I don't think anyone expected August. I maybe I'm wrong. I haven't read or heard all the energy reports or anything, but I did remember some people saying like, oh, it's going to be a lot of shifting, a lot of changes, but I don't know. Maybe they knew and they just didn't want to have everyone freak out or something. But I do feel a different vibration coming.
Well, yeah.
Continuing to come in, I should say.
Yeah, the full moon, I think it's on Saturday, the 10th, September 10th, and it's full moon in Pisces. And Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It kind of wraps everything up. It's like the spiritual like wrap up. So if you think of, so this full moon in Pisces coming up, I think it's this weekend, could be like, it could be a comforting blanket of wrap up and like, okay, I made it through. And then we start again. It's always it's all these patterns of ending and restarting, right? But I just feel comfort in this full moon. I don't know why.
Yeah, I vibe with that.
Let's just go with that.
So this is what I would call here in the South. This is what we call a long Southern goodbye. You ever heard of that? Where you can't quite say bye because we've got more to talk about. But we will be back for sure, and we can't wait to have more conversations with you. Let us know how you're doing. Again, ways to reach us are in the show notes. Please join us on our Facebook community. We can't wait to see you there and to get that going. So I'm going to say bye, everyone.
Bye.
And
Love,
see
sending
you
love.
on the other side.
All right.
Retrograding back to
Adios.
whenever we come back.
Adios, amigos.
Whatever you said.